Life is a ride. Life is a ride. Life is a ride. Life is a ride. Life is a ride along. Welcome to the experience. Welcome to the journey. Welcome to the journey. A movement. This is Ridealong Live, where everyone has a story to tell.
You gotta be firm in this time.
Your life.
You gotta be strong in this time, son. I'm a survivor. I will survive. And I'm a firm believer. We'll forever shine, just to stay alive. That simple means it. Nobody can hold me man. Nobody can drain my energy. Nobody can hold me sick. I will not allow negativity. Nobody can hold me man. Nobody can drain my energy. Nobody can. Everybody show me some strength. No weakness, show me a lion. Put it up. Strength. Sick. I will not allow negativity. Nobody can hold me.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Lacey J. Good evening, Doris. Good evening, Kareen. Mo, how you doing, my friend?
Everything has to happen. I'm a go. I just God. I'm trying to put my trust in God. Nobody can hold me back. Nobody can get my energy. Nobody can control me sick. I will not allow negativity. Nobody can hold me back. Nobody can get my energy. Nobody can. Yo! Show me some strength. No weakness. Show me a lot. Strength. No weakness. Show me a lot. Everybody strength. No weakness. Show them who we are. That's when you roll.
The enemy is
That's when you roll. Everything has to happen.
Like and share as you come in. Like and share as you come in, guys. Like and share. We have a good show lined up for today.
Tougher on this battlefield. You're tougher and still. Yo, just show me some strength. No weakness, show me a lion dog. Strength, no weakness, show them who we are. Strength, no weakness, show me a lion dog. Everybody strength, no weakness, show them who we are. That's when you roll.
If you're joining us, go like and share. Make sure you're sharing when you come in. Make sure you're sharing. We have a really good show today, guys. So go ahead, like and share. Hello, Lydia. It's Fun Day Wednesday. Absolutely. It is Fun Day Wednesday.
Strength. Yeah. You gotta be firm in this time, son. You gotta be strong in this time.
All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and get started. If you're joining us, go ahead and share. I see some of my regulars. If you are joining us for the first time, thank you for joining us. This is Ridealong Live. Today's Immigration Now. Every Wednesday, we talk about immigration. So let me know where you're sharing from. Let me know where you're liking from, and we're getting started. Hi, Lovable John. Hi, Delditha Ewing, Lacey J, Mason Joseph, Shay Love, Lydia James, oh my God, my loyal supporters, thank you for joining. Thank you for joining. It's actually it's green tea. Mavis, there's nothing in the bottle, my love. It's like it's literally green tea. Let me take a sip. Sipping my tea. It's actually green tea. So I'm traveling today. So what I do when I'm traveling is I make sure I'm building up my immune system. So I did have my mask. So I have my mask with me. I have my thank you to Borland, Jamaica. Thank you so much. So I do have my mask with you all. And then what I do is I have lots of fluids. And so today I'm drinking, I'm not going to show the brand, but I'm just having unsweetened green tea to build up my immune system. So today's just going to be you and I, guys, just me and you and me. First time watching from Bahamas. Delditha, thank you so much. Make sure you share Delditha so all your friends know what we do on a Wednesday. Every Wednesday at 6, we talk about immigration. We try to answer any questions you might have and as it pertains to immigration. Today, I'm coming to you live from the city of Detroit, Michigan. As you can see, my background is different. So I'm traveling today because I'm taking my son back to university in the state of Michigan. I don't know, are there any mothers on here? And how are you guys doing bringing the kids back to school, having the children go back to school? I know a lot of schools are reopening. Um, Pure Life, Lacey. Yes, it is Pure Life. Oh, I gave it away. Pure Life needs to sponsor my show because I gave it away. I love Pure Life, the unsweetened green tea. I absolutely love. So, how's everybody doing with taking the kids back to school? I'm in the process of taking my son back to university at Western Michigan, and it's kind of, I don't know, it's a little heartbreaking, but we got to get them back to where they need to go. Thank you, Tamika, for joining us. Like and share, guys. Like and share. We're going to get started because you know how the 60 minutes go. It goes by pretty fast. All we're going to talk about today is immigration. I'm going to answer your questions. So if you have questions, go ahead and post them to the right of the corner. Go ahead and post them in the chat. Today, I am without Junior because he's doing double duty. So we can kind of like just have fun today, right? Hey, Miss Immigration Lady, I love that name. Shay Love, I know you're scared for your little one. I am too. Mine is not so little anymore, and I am still scared because he's going back to university. He's not going to be in a dorm. He's going to be in an apartment on the university, but it still makes me scared. So I can imagine how all my moms are feeling. Mavis, yeah, graduated university. Yeah, that's good. Good. So that's kind of where I am taking him back, and I still want to do my show. So COVID, I hope everybody is staying safe from COVID. We just got news out of Jamaica that Usain Bolt, one of our favorite sprint stars, tested positive for COVID. So I'm encouraging all of you to stay safe. If you have a question this evening and you'd like to call us, the number is the same, 718-701-5720, 718-701-5720, if you'd like to call us and ask us a question about immigration. Thank you all for sharing. It's 6:11. Let's get started. What do I want to talk about today? I want to talk about, first of all, what's going on this week in immigration world. One, we know the fee increases are coming. The fee increases are coming, guys. If anybody on this chat, or if you know anybody who has a green card and they're not yet a citizen, this this is a public service announcement. I think it is a lack of responsibility for anybody who is a green card holder and they have not become a citizen. I think that's a lack of responsibility. So if you're watching this show and you know anybody who is not a US citizen and they have a green card, now more than ever they need to naturalize. Keep in mind, October 1st, we're going to see a lot of fee increases. Most notably, the naturalization application. We've been covering that now for quite some time. The naturalization application is going from $700 to a little bit over $1,200. 700 to 1,200. That's a lot of increase. That is a lot of increase. So we need you to go ahead, and if you're in the position to file for naturalization, now is the time to do so. For the last couple of weeks, we have covered the naturalization application. We've covered the requirements. If you've had your green card for 5 years, it is super, super important that you go ahead and file that application. If you're married and you got your green card through marriage and you're still married to your spouse, go ahead, and it can be as little as 3 years. So if you're married to a US citizen, you've remained married to that US citizen, you can file for naturalization within 3 years. So you have no excuse not wanting to file for naturalization. What else we have that's going on in the immigration world? We do know that the furloughs, if you've been watching this show, you know we talked about the furloughs and that the furloughs were coming. The layoffs, as we say in the Caribbean, we did have some layoffs planned. The president and USCIS, they were in, like, I think they still are, quite honestly. They still are in this tug of war where USCIS, the agency that oversees all things immigration within the United States, they were asking for a lot of money. Remember, there are a fee for service business. And so with all the restrictions on immigration, all the restrictions on application by the current administration, they were running out of money. And so they went to the president, asked for money, and they're not getting the money. They still haven't gotten the money, but what they've said is they have enough money to hold them over until September 30. So we won't see any layoffs at USCIS between now and September 30. Keep in mind, folks, already applications are taking a considerably amount of time to be processed. So imagine, and they were talking about laying off 70,000 employees. Let me repeat that. 70,000 employees were going to be laid off. Well, what they have said is, even though they have not gotten the money, they're not going to lay off those individuals. So that's kind of where we are with the layoffs for USCIS. I don't want my Caribbean folks or my folks in immigration land to say, all right, since there won't be any layoff, I'll just wait to submit my application. No, go ahead anyway and submit those applications. Even if your application or your status is under one of those restricted categories. So we know one of the restricted categories, as a green card holder, you can file for a parent or a spouse at this time because it's restricted. Still file those applications because you're still getting your priority date. I highly encourage you to still file those applications. Lydia, you're absolutely correct. Once your immune system is healthy, getting COVID is not a death sentence, which is why, folks, I'm drinking my green tea. As far as filing for citizenship, Corrine Audain, you don't have to file for citizenship because you have reached 5 years in the United States. In fact, I have clients that have had their green card for 10, 20, 30 years for that matter, and they haven't filed. What you do have to do if you decide not to file for naturalization, or if you have not filed to become a US citizen, what you can do is renew your green card. That to me takes a lot of money. Because every 10 years, what you keep doing is renewing the green card, renewing the green card, renewing the green card. It also opens you up for getting in trouble with ICE or immigration. So if you commit some kind of crime, some kind of drug offense, whether it's trafficking, if you start having multiple DUIs, you start having all these problems or issues with your record, then you can be deported. Even if you've had your green card for 5, 10, 15, 20 years, and in year 20, you commit some kind of offense, then you can be deported. So to answer your question, Karine, No, you don't have to apply for naturalization immediately as you reach the 5 years. You can just simply renew your green card if you have no interest in United States citizenship. But I would encourage you to at least apply for naturalization, but it's not required. You can keep renewing your green card, which costs money and time, or you can simply apply for naturalization. You get your US passport, and that kind of cements your status within the United States. I hope I answered your question, Kareen. All right, moving on. Mo Franklin, how are you, my friend? A friend would like to know what happens if she gets called in for her green card marriage interview when her husband is away in training and at the army. I would get my husband's if that were I would get my husband's deployment record, and I would still show up for my interview and have them know that my husband is deployed. So you're bringing in all the documents. When you get scheduled for a green card interview, they're going to send you a letter. You're welcome, Kareen. They're going to send you a letter that outlines all the documents they want, all the documents they want. I know I'm having a lot of dead air. I sound funny, but that's because I'm in the hotel. If you're not hearing me, let me know, but I do apologize this week. I am not in my home office. I'm literally in a hotel in a quiet area. So if you're not hearing me, let me know and I'll do my best to speak up as loudly as possible. But I do apologize for my sound this week. So we're talking about you get scheduled for an interview, and let's just say it's any interview with USCIS. In this case, we're going to talk about getting scheduled for a marriage interview, and the husband is not available. In this case, your husband is deployed. Say, so we could use husband is deployed, husband is in the hospital, husband doesn't want to come with me, whatever reasons, still show up for your interview. Do not just not show up. If you miss your interview date, they will deny your application. All right. So if your husband is deployed in the United States military, he will have some kind of deployment record. He will have a record that says he has been deployed and here's where he is and here's why. And so I would say to you, still show up for your interview, bring all the documents the service have asked you to bring, proof of the marriage, all the official records. One of two things will happen in this scenario. One, they will either interview you without your husband, especially in the cases of military spouses, because they understand, or two, they will go ahead and reschedule you to a more convenient time when your husband can be available. So my advice to all the individuals where if you're scheduled for a green card interview, please, please, please show up, even if the other spouse is unavailable. Mo, I hope I've answered your question. All right, so we talked about the furlough. We talked about the fee increases. Roma Joseph, you said, how soon can you file for your spouse after marriage? You could literally walk out of, literally walk out of your marriage and file for your green card application the next day. I hope I'm reading your question correctly. You said, how soon can you file for your spouse after marriage? So if you got married today, you can file your application for a green card tomorrow. Make sure, however, you have a lot of supporting documentation. Make sure it's not just a blank green card application. So hopefully you and your spouse would have been dating for some years. Hopefully you would have cemented the relationship. You'd have had maybe a joint lease. You would have had credit cards in your name. You would have had bills like electric bills, whatever bills you would have had. But just don't file because you can. All right. Keep in mind, you can file for your green card. So you get married today, you can file that application tomorrow. Make sure it has all the supporting documents you need so your application is not denied. All right. Kareen, or Roman Joseph, 3 years. No, you do not have to wait 3 years to file for a green card, to file for your spouse after marriage. The telephone number to call is 718-701-5720, 718-701-5720. If this is the first time you're watching us, my name is Attorney Diani Winter Funde, and we do Immigration Now on the Ride Along show every Wednesday at 6. So we're here to answer your questions. We're here to give you some information, tell you what is the latest that's going on with immigration, and to kind of answer any questions you might have. As far as what's new in immigration this week, we also have the children that were in detention centers that were scheduled to be released on July 26th. They still have not been released. They're still in the detention facilities. So for those of you that are following, and it's hard to talk about immigration and not talk about politics. Like, how do I talk about immigration and not talk about politics? That's almost next to impossible. But if you've been following, you're aware that a lot of children, over 100 children, are currently being detained in the detention centers. Just so you know, they still have not been released, even though they were ordered to be released by a federal judge. They still are in immigration proceedings. All right, the number to call, if you want to call us, please go ahead and do so. Today we're going to talk, I'm still going to review naturalization with you today. So I know we've covered it a bit, but I feel like it's the season to talk about naturalization, the benefits of naturalization, how to complete the naturalization application. I know we've talked about it a couple of times. It doesn't hurt. We need to talk about it again. Why? Because we're coming up to election season. November 3rd is elections, the US elections, and I want to make sure that everybody understands whether they can or cannot vote. One of the questions I had this week in my firm was, I am a United States citizen, or no, they were in the process of applying for a green card within the United States, but they wanted to know if they could vote in their home country. It is perfectly okay to vote in your home country. Having a green card in the United States or being a United States citizen does not stop you from voting in your home country. As it stands right now, Jamaica has called their election. So it's it's a politically charged time for US citizens and US citizens that are Jamaicans or Jamaicans that are green card holders, because we have the US major election getting ready to happen. And we also have the elections in Jamaica getting ready to happen. So as a United States citizen, as a green card holder, you can vote in the elections in your home country. It is okay to go ahead and vote. That is one of the questions I had this week from one of my clients. They wanted to know, can I go home to Jamaica and vote? Yes, you can. All right, let's talk naturalization. And if you're joining us, like and share, guys, like and share. Let's talk naturalization. So if you enter the United States with a green card, if you've entered the United States with a green card, or you've gotten your green card while you're here, you have two options of becoming a citizen. Option number one, if you're married, and I'll use myself as a hypothetical. If I came into the United States, I married a US citizen, and I obtained my green card, I can apply for naturalization within 3 years, so long as I remain married to that United States citizen. So it's now 2020. In 2023, I can apply for naturalization. Does that make sense? Give me a yes in the corner if that makes sense, because I want to make sure I cleared up, because I keep getting this question a lot. If that makes sense, put a yes in the comment box. So if you're married to a US citizen and you still are married, you can apply for naturalization within 3 years. You can apply to become a United States citizen within 3 years. If somebody else petitions for you, in my case, my mother petitioned for me. So I came into the United States back in 1996. My mother filed a petition, so I didn't marry, so I didn't get a green card through marriage. I had to wait 5 years before I could apply to become a United States citizen. So think of this as the 5-3 rule. 3 years if you're married to a US citizen. It's a benefit. It's like a privilege. It's an honor to be able to apply. If you divorce that US citizen, you cannot apply for naturalization. So you have to make sure, guys, that you're still in your marriage, because they're going to need proof of that marriage along with other documentation. In my case, I had to wait 5 years because my mother had petitioned for me, and I don't need any proof of any marriage. I just needed to show that I had good moral character. So think of it as the 5-3 rule. A good way is 5-3. The 5-3 rule. 5, if I didn't get my green card through marriage. 3, if I was married to a U.S. citizen spouse. Keep in mind also that if you're in the military, so the military will fast track your naturalization. So for all my green card holders that enter the military is going to fast track that naturalization application. Why? They don't want to have you get security clearance and all of the secrets of the military if you're not a United States citizen. And keep in mind also, one of the benefits of naturalization is that you can vote, you can get federal employment, you can stay outside of the country as long as you possibly can. So there are lots of benefits that goes along with being naturalized. For those individuals, if you're married to someone who works for the federal government overseas, we can also fast track your naturalization application as well. So you don't have to wait the 5 years, you don't have to wait 3 years. So if you are married to a federal employee, for example, your husband works with the Department of Defense overseas, they can't be working on US soil. If they're working overseas and you want to go join them, we can get you naturalized in a much quicker way than we normally can. I see a lot of yeses. That means you guys are getting it. All right. Question. And it's free. Thanks, Shani. Shani Land is telling us that it's also free in the military. So if you know anybody that's in the military, pick up the phone and call them and say, hey, you make sure you get naturalized. You make sure you get naturalized, because the military does it for free and it goes faster. Even if you married and you got a conditional green card. So I married my husband. Our marriage was less than 2 years, so they only gave me the conditional green card. In our community, we call it the temporary green card. If that is all you have and you enter the military will also naturalize you. So it's almost like two processes in one. You skip the conditional residence line and you skip the naturalization line, and you can become a United States citizen by virtue of serving in the military. I think we have another question. What if you married and already got your green card but divorced? How long do you have to wait to file? All right, that's a good question, Patrick. So I married my husband. I'm using myself as a hypo. So I married my husband who's a United States citizen. Everything is perfect in year 1. Everything is perfect in year 2. In year 3, I had my conditions removed, so I'm no longer a conditional green card holder. And then in year 4, I decide, you know what, this marriage is not working out, and we get a divorce. If you get a divorce, you will now still have to wait the 5 years. So go back to the date when you were originally issued your green card, and you wait 5 years, and then you apply for naturalization. Unfortunately, because you divorce before the 3-year mark, Patrick, then you cannot naturalize under the 3-year rule. Keep in mind, guys, the 3-year rule is, consider it a bonus for being married to a United States citizen, because remember, the Immigration and Nationality Act, the act that is the umbrella of immigration, that act is about family unification. It's about keeping families together. So there are some perks that you will get by virtue of being married to a United States citizen. All right, so we talked about the application. Where do you get this application for naturalization? It is the N400. It is online at uscis.gov. uscis.gov. The number to call, 718-701-5720, 718-701-5720. Anybody have a call, just go ahead and call us in. Call us and we will try to answer your question as well. Just so you know, this program is being sponsored by Emoji. Do you emoji? Make sure you check us out at emoji.com. EMOOGE.com. So now you've pulled up the naturalization application. It is at uscis.gov. And if anybody's on this live, anybody who is on this broadcast and they have a green card and you're not a citizen and you meet the 5 or 3 year rule, I want you to pull up the application and I want you to start completing that application. You can print it, you can complete it and submit it online. In fact, the service has made this application so easy now that they'll give you $10 off your discount. So the fee is minus $10. I call it a fee reduction because if you do your application online, the service gives you a $10 credit. Like, how easy is that? How easy is that? Do we have a caller? 718-701-5720. Good evening. Okay, it's dead ear, so it's just you and I. We'll keep talking. So you've pulled up your N400 application. What I want you to do is to print it, or if you have a PDF, you start filling it out online and fill in all the data. I don't want you to submit it right away. Why? Because I want to make sure you have all the accurate information. The numbers will be, the application will be asking you for data, like your name, where you've lived, your address for the last 5 years, your employer for the last 5 years. Do you have children? Your spouses, your dates of divorce. And I'll tell you why all this information is important in a bit. But when you look at the application on uscis.gov, you will also notice that that there will be an instructional form. So you'll have the N400 and you'll have the N400 application instructions. So when you're doing your application, if you choose to do it by yourself, then you have the instructions with you, and you also have the actual application, because that really helps. All right. So when you look at the application, it will ask you for all the information, names, all the actual data. Once you have completed the application, you should also collect your supporting documents. What do I mean by supporting documents? On your N400, the application for citizenship, the application for naturalization, you will say, all right, I've been divorced twice. The service wants to see both divorce decrees. So you can't just put on the application your divorce, the dates, what you think the date is. The service wants to see those divorce decree, the dissolution of marriage, right? The divorce paperwork. If you've put on the application that you've had 5 or 6 speeding tickets, the service also wants to see proof that you've paid all your speeding tickets. So that is what I mean by, when you're putting the application together, make sure you have all those supporting documentation. If you have that you have been arrested, right? And if there are certain things that you have been arrested for, I highly encourage you to consult with an immigration attorney, because there are certain things that if you have been arrested for can put you in deportation or put you in removal proceedings. Because remember, in naturalization, they're going to run your prints. But if you say you've had an arrest, maybe it was, I don't know, I don't want to say domestic violence because that gets tricky. You were arrested for, I'm thinking of something really simple that you were arrested for, maybe some kind of petty offense. Now, I don't want to use a petty offense either, because we have to be careful with those. But say you were arrested for an open container while you were in college. The service wants to see the arrest record, and the service also wants to see the final disposition. The service does not want to know that you were arrested and you did not take care of the arrest. So if you were arrested, they want to see the official arrest record, and they want to see the official disposition. It means maybe you got community service, maybe you were asked to pay Maybe you were asked to pay a fine. We want to see those records. All right. Do not submit your original records with your naturalization application. Please don't submit those records with your naturalization application. Good evening, Spice Buffy. Good evening. Good evening, Miss Kelly Charles Collins. Thank you for joining us. Liz, I'm going to answer your question in a second. But the service wants to make sure. Spice, thank you for coming in, guys. If you're just coming in, like, share, like, share, like, share. The service wants to make sure that you have completed whatever those requirements are. The next thing you have to is, if you have failed to file your taxes and you have some kind of payment arrangement with the IRS, the Internal Revenue Service, you have to show that you are cleared up of any taxes, because not paying your taxes is showing lack of good moral character. Remember, we talked about the moral character that is needed. So you want to make sure that you do that. Make sure you've cleared up all your taxes. Make sure you can show that all your taxes have been cleared up. What benefits does one have marrying a veteran? What are the benefits? Liz, I'm not sure I understand your question. What immigration benefits you mean? I think if you're talking about if your veteran is stationed overseas, then we can probably try to fast track your naturalization application, Liz, if you plan on joining your husband. If the husband is still here in the United States, then we can do the application just the same. I'm not sure if you mean benefits from the military or benefits from immigration. Kelly Charles Collins, is that something, these forms, you can help people with, or is there some do-it-yourself program people could buy to help them? Okay, I'm going to just put this. Thank you, Kelly Charles Collins, for asking that question. One of the things that I have done, or what we have done in our firm, is we're trying to make, especially when it comes to naturalization, we are trying to make naturalization affordable and accessible for everybody who wants to naturalize. If you are a green card holder, and you are interested in naturalizing, we have programs in our firm where we can help you do this. And this is not paying the fee that you would typically pay to a lawyer. This is education. These are programs that can help you do the application yourself. If you are interested in that program, just shoot us an email, DionnieWinter@winterlaw.com. Dionnie Winter, DIONNIEWYNTER @winterlaw.com, and we will help you get those applications off. I think we're gonna call it Get Naturalized, because I want everybody, especially my Caribbean community, to understand that it is super, super, super important that even though you have a green card, that you take the next step in becoming a United States citizen. All right, make sure you do that. Liz Lang, as far as benefits for immigration filing, you would still be processed. You would still be processed as a spouse of a United States military personnel. And you would get the benefits that flow from that green card. There won't be, I'm trying to think, there's not going to be any special benefits. I think that's what you're asking about. What helps is that the military spouses are held to a high regard, right? So if you marry a U.S. citizen spouse who is in the military, then certainly your interview might be a little bit better. As far as the benefits that the military personnel gets, I've never worked in the military, but I do know that there are certain benefits that your military personnel will get. I hope that answers your question, Liz. Are they processing immigration applications? I'm tired of being here alone. Nafisia Evans, it depends on the kind of immigration application you are referring to. Keep in mind, folks, back in March of this year, the Trump administration placed some restrictions on certain kinds of applications, right? Those restrictions were, first it was 60 days, then they were extended to December 31st of 2020. So Nafisia, it really depends on what kind of application. If your spouse, significant other is currently within the United States, then those strict restrictions would not apply. Those restrictions would not apply to your spouse. If your spouse, significant other, fiance is outside of the country waiting to be processed at a consulate post, then yes, those restrictions will apply. So it all depends what processing we're talking about. What I can tell you though, folks, is that a lot of the consular posts have reopened. You're most welcome, Liz. I hope I answered your question. A lot of the consulate posts have reopened. They are processing all of those interviews that were canceled due to COVID. So you have to give the consular post a time to catch up. As for interviews within the United States, the field offices, the USCIS field offices, they too have reopened. I've had interviews with them. Again, they're trying to clear that backlog of all those cases that we see that had gotten canceled during COVID. Naturalization ceremonies, they are still being held. They're holding all of the naturalization ceremonies, in particularly those that were canceled. So they're having what we call social distancing petition, social distancing naturalization ceremonies, right? So if you had your interview scheduled, I've had clients where they've had their interviews scheduled, they were ready to go in for naturalization. COVID came, they weren't able to get naturalized. The service has begun keeping those ceremonies. So keep a lookout for those rescheduled interviews. All right, I'm eager. Are they processing applications? I'm tired of being here alone. It's my mommy that's petitioning for me. Nafisia, if you're over 21, those applications are being affected by the government's restriction. So the consular post will not be issuing any green cards if you're waiting outside. So when I say consulate post, it means you're outside of the United States. You're waiting outside to be processed. All of those applications, especially U.S. citizen parent filing for a child over 21, there's a restriction on that until December 31st of 2020. So you have to wait until December 31st. It's an election year. We don't know what's going to happen. If the president remains in office, he might extend that December 31st deadline, or he might lift some of those restrictions. If we don't know. We don't know. But what I can tell you is that the consulate posts, they have all been notified that they are not issuing, they're not to issue those categories of green cards, aka visas. So you're gonna have a little wait, Nafisi. I'm sorry that you're there waiting alone. Let's go to the lines and see if there's any call. 718-701-5720. 718-701-5720. Anybody there? Nope, no calls today. It seems like when Junior is not here, we don't get any calls, but that's all right. So we're talking about the naturalization application. So you've filled out your application. You've made a copy for yourself. You've collected your supporting documents. You've made only copies of the supporting documents because you're keeping your originals to yourself. You're keeping the official documents to yourself. Then you mail your application. If you mail your application before October 1st of 2020, if you mail your application before October 1st of 2020, you will be able to take advantage of the current filing fee, which is a little bit over $725 to be exact. If you wait until October 1st of 2020, then your application fee will be a little bit over $1,200. So once you've kept all your documents, you've mailed your application off, the next step in the process will be your fingerprints. So 30 days, 45 days, depending on how your service center is running, you will get a notice to have your fingerprints taken. which is why I'm saying if you have any arrest history in the background, remember to go ahead and have those analyzed by a competent immigration attorney. Again, we have services in our firm that we can assist you with. So if that is something you want to get looked over, I encourage you not to submit that application if you think there's anything in your background that may come up during this process. Let me pause here, guys, and remind you at the naturalization stage of immigration, that is where the service corrects itself. So that is where the immigration officer will march into that interview and they'll have a file this big and it will be your complete immigration file. They're going to look at if you came into the country on a J1, a B1, however you came into the country, they are going to look at that application to make sure that there were no misrepresentations on those applications. Even though you're saying, look, Miss Winter, I've had my green card forever. Yes, at the naturalization phase is when they look at everything that led up to your green card and they take that opportunity to correct themselves. Let me tell you, I've been doing this a long time. I have walked out of naturalization interviews into removal or into deportation. Why? Because the officer opens up that file and starts asking about that initial application that let you into the United States. So you have to be super, super, super careful when you're filing the naturalization application. When will be, Gordia Ewing is asking when the Canadian borders will be opening. I have no idea, love. I'm currently in Detroit. I'll try to go across the border tomorrow and see if they let us in. Remember, guys, there's a pandemic, so a lot of borders have closed because of the pandemic. So I'm not sure when the Canadian borders will be open. Are you Canadian or American? I imagine if you're a Canadian, you should be able to go back home. But if you're not a Canadian, it might be a problem. Let me just wrap up talking about the application real quick. Tomorrow, I'm going to answer your question. Thank you all for watching so much. Like and share, like and share, like and share. Remember, if you want to take advantage of some of the naturalization products we have in our office, shoot me an email, DeaniWinter@winterlaw.com. DeaniWinter@winterlaw.com. So you've mailed your application, you've gone in for your fingerprints. I encourage you to also study for your naturalization test. Your interview will be civics, history, and writing. So you're going to write a sentence. The officer is going to dictate a sentence to you, and it'll be a simple sentence. It will sound something like, George Washington is the president of the United States. Thank you for posting, Kelly Charles Collins. DeaniWinter@winterlaw.com, 813-815-3529. If you want us to talk about some of the naturalization products we have. I want to get my whole community naturalized. That's as simple as it is. Let's get everybody naturalized. I don't want it to be an issue. You're saying I can't afford a lawyer. That is not a reason why we should not all be citizens. Plus, we need y'all to vote come November 3rd if you're a citizen. So you first go in for your interview. You'll be tested on civics. You'll be tested on history, and you'll be writing a question. Those civics questions, 100 questions, are on uscis.gov. uscis.gov, you'll find all the civics and history questions. You have to study all 100 questions, but you will only be asked 10. The expectation is you'll be able to answer 6 out of 10. So 100 questions, you study them all. If you've attended school in the United States, then the questions won't be that difficult to you. However, if you've attended school outside of the United States, it can be a little bit challenging, right? So I would encourage you, the moment you send your application off in the mail, you start studying those questions. All right, guys? Can I get an amen? Can I get a yes? All right. So Cutty Williams says, I'm a green card holder. Do I have to live in the United States continuously for the 5 years in order to qualify for naturalization? Cutty Williams, that is a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful question. I get that question a lot. So get out your pens and papers and let's talk some rules. Shanini Land, I'm going to get to your question as well. Get out some pen and paper. I want you to write down 6 months And I want you to write down 12 months. There's a 6-month rule, Cutty, and there's a 12 months rule. Amen, Glenda. Thank you. Thank you, love. So, what does the Immigration and Nationality Act says? So 5 years is 60 months. This is like a math problem, guys. In high school, I was not a fan of math, but naturalization is a math problem. Under the Immigration and Nationality Act, or what we say in the Caribbean is under immigration. So with the Business Partner Act, all we know is this is what immigration says. To become a naturalized resident of citizen of the United States, you must have resided continuously in the United States for 5 years. Those 5 years, amen, Nafisia, amen, Vaughn. Those 5 years equals to 60 months. Notice the word I used was continuously. Cotty Williams, I hope you're following. So it says 5 years continuously. What breaks continuous presence? Any departure from the United States of 6 months or more breaks continuous residence. Therefore, if in year 2 I'm living in the United States and I decide to go to Jamaica for 6 months and I have my green card, I go to Jamaica for 6 months and I don't come back. I'm there 7.5 months. I'm having the time of my life. I'm living on the beaches in Jamaica. That 7 months will break my continuous residence. That does not interfere with my green card. It does not interfere with my green card. All it does, it resets the clock. Now I have to start over my 5-year count for naturalization purposes. So 6 months interferes, it interrupts, it breaks the continuous residency for naturalization purposes. So it's 7 months later, you pack your bags and you come back into the United States. The officer won't interfere with you because you were not gone for 12 months. You've only been gone for 6 months. The Border Patrol will have some questions for you. You can say, look, I was in Jamaica, I was going to school, or I was opening a business there. Right? So it breaks a continuous residency for green card purposes. For naturalization purposes. If you have been gone for a year or more, then it starts to interrupt your green card. So you have a different kind of problem. But the idea is, Cotty Williams, for those 60 months, you must show that you resided in the United States for 30 of those 60 months and that you were never gone for any period greater than 6 months or 180 days at a time. Don't have enough maths yet? That's a lot of maths. I'm sorry, but that's kind of how it works. If you have any kind of concerns about whether your departures have interrupted your continuous residency, give us a buzz. We can look at it. I can look at the dates and kind of walk you through it. Another question from Shayneen Land. It can't be 6:55 already. Shayneen Land asks, what if you came here under a different name and was successful in getting a waiver to get your green card? When you go for citizenship, can this come and affect you? I'll start by saying anything will affect you when it comes to naturalization. However, when you have gone through the bumps and tides of getting your green card, so the waivers for unlawful presence, the waivers for fraudulently entering the United States, the waivers for crime. So you've taken care of all that icky stuff and you've been granted your green card. The service will not go back to the cover, or they will not look under the cover of those if they were done truthfully and honestly. So you have to make sure that when you were doing your waiver, for whatever the problem was, you were honest. Remember, at the naturalization phase, they are looking for good moral character. So if you lied on that waiver, it's going to haunt you at naturalization. If you were truthful when you were filing your waiver, then it will not haunt you when it comes to naturalization. So if you've gone through, I don't know, asylum, if you've gone through VAWA, if you've had any kind of waiver in order to get your green card, you can still naturalize, because remember, those issues would have been dealt with at the green card level. What the officer is going to do, though, is to make sure that nothing you put in those waivers, nothing you put in the application for the green card was dishonest. All right, Shanini, I hope I answered your question. It is 6:57, guys. It is 6:57. Dale Blackman, yes, you can file for your children with a green card only. You just cannot file for a parent. If you have a green card, you cannot file for a parent. But as a green card holder, you can file for a spouse or a child. You can file for a spouse or a child. It's 6:57, guys. I think I've answered all the questions. As for the naturalization application, remember your interview. It's going to be, your interview will consist of also the civics and history, as well as looking at civics, history, writing, as well as looking at your naturalization application. So don't just walk in blindly, not remembering anything about your past or anything about that you have. Tamara, let me try to. I know we're wrapping up. Tamara, let me try to find your question. Tamara, oh Lord. Oh, I'm sorry, Tamara. I know we're wrapping up. Hold on 1 minute. Hold on 1 minute in the back. I know it says when doing the citizen, how many years tax years are you required to submit? Tamara, I typically go 5 years, 3 to 5 years. So if you don't have the 3 to 5 years, go ahead and adjust those tax returns. But or you can show the service that you were exempt. But anywhere from 3 to 5, I like 5. I feel like 5 is a good number because remember, the good moral character for naturalization, Tamara, is 60 months or 5 years. Okay, so let's get the 5 years of tax returns. And if you don't have them all, give me a call, set up a consultation, and we'll work through. These are things we'll work through with you. All right, guys, it's 6:59. I can't believe it. Let me take a sip of my tea. Where's my straw? I'm taking a sip of my green tea.
Nobody can take my energy. Nobody can. Yo, just show me some strength. No weakness.
I want to thank everybody for joining us. I really appreciate you joining us. I think I answered everybody's question today. Najumi, I did not see your question, Najuma, how did I miss? One more question at 6:59, 30 seconds. Najuma, I didn't see your question. I'm scrolling up. If you're currently working as a nanny for 6 years with a family, could your boss apply for a green card? Najuma, your boss can apply for a green card for you. It will be an employment-based green card. I believe that's one of those green cards that are being restricted by the president. But yes, your boss can apply for a green card for you. Keep in mind, it will be restricted. Go ahead and schedule a consultation and let's walk through what that process would look like if your boss were to apply for you for a green card. All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. I'm going to turn it over to our folks in Master Control. Thank you so much. Remember to like, share, comment if we want to keep these programs on the line. And again, folks, my name is Attorney Diani Winter Funde, and I want you to walk good and have a pleasant week. Bye, y'all.
Hey, I got some good news for you. Looking for a passionate immigration lawyer with experience that spans over 2 decades? Someone trusted that served immigrant families just like yours? Well, look no more. Now you can benefit from her personal and professional experience. Diane Winter Funde. Schedule a consultation now and get assistance with your immigration journey. Specialize in adjustment of status, B1 business visa, B2 visitor's visa, consular processing, deportation defense, naturalization, and more. Give us a call today at 813-815-3529. That's 813-815-3529 or online at winterimmigration.com. Attorney Diane Winter Funde. Law done differently.
Life is a ride. Life is a ride. Life is a ride. Life is a ride along. Welcome to the experience. Welcome to the journey. Welcome to the journey. A movement. This is Ridealong Live, where everyone has a story to tell.